Hyunwoo's massive spacecraft descended through Earth's atmosphere, its metallic hull gleaming against the pale blue sky. He had traveled millions of light years, carrying generations of military knowledge from his advanced civilization. The Galactic Reconnaissance Unit considered humans nothing more than primitive beings occupying a small, unremarkable planet. As the spacecraft landed on the outskirts of Fort Carson, Colorado, Hyunwoo's multiple eyes scanned the surrounding landscape. Green mountains and open plains stretched before him, so different from the metallic landscapes of his homeworld. Soldiers moved about their daily routines, unaware of the alien observer watching their every move. His first impressions were disappointing. Humans seemed fragile, their bodies soft and vulnerable. Their equipment looked rudimentary. Large green vehicles, basic metallic weapons, and uniforms that seemed designed more for comfort than actual combat. Hyunwoo's species had technology that could vaporize entire planetary systems, while humans struggled with basic transportation and communication systems. A group of Marines began their morning training. Hyunwoo watched with barely concealed amusement. Their initial warm-up seemed like a joke, running in formation, doing push-ups and performing stretches that looked more like a dance than military preparation. He activated his translation device, listening to their conversations. "Come on, push harder," shouted a muscular instructor. "You think the enemy's gonna wait for you to catch your breath?" The soldiers responded with loud grunts, pushing themselves through an obstacle course that seemed unnecessarily complicated. Hyunwoo calculated that his own species would have completed such a course in a fraction of the time, with far more precision and efficiency. One particular soldier caught his attention, a woman who moved with unusual determination. Despite being smaller than her male counterparts, she navigated the obstacle course with a speed and agility that surprised even Hyunwoo. She didn't just complete the tasks, she seemed to enjoy the challenge. Military vehicles moved in the background, their engines rumbling across the training ground. Helicopters occasionally passed overhead, their rotors creating powerful wind currents that made the grass bend and trees sway. Hyunwoo noted their primitive but functional design, thinking how his civilization would consider such machines almost prehistoric. As the morning training continued, Hyunwoo began recording observations. Each movement, each interaction, was carefully documented. His mission was simple: assess human military capabilities and determine whether they posed any potential threat to the galactic hegemony. The soldiers carried multiple pieces of equipment, heavy backpacks, complex communication devices, various weapons. They moved as a coordinated unit, supporting each other through challenging physical tasks. This surprised Hyunwoo. His own military training emphasized individual performance, not collective effort. A loud whistle cut through the morning air. The soldiers immediately stopped, forming perfect lines with a precision that momentarily impressed Hyunwoo. Their ability to transition from intense physical activity to disciplined formation suggested a level of mental control he hadn't expected. The instructor began speaking, his voice carrying across the training ground. "Today, we're going to push our limits. Not just physical limits, but mental limits. War isn't just about strength. It's about adaptability, quick thinking, and teamwork." Hyunwoo's translation device captured every word. Something in the instructor's tone suggested these humans understood warfare differently than his own civilization. They weren't just preparing for combat, they were preparing their minds. As the day progressed, Hyunwoo continued observing. Each task seemed designed to break down individual limitations. Soldiers carried each other through challenging courses, worked together to solve complex problems, and maintained a level of communication that seemed almost telepathic. By late afternoon, Hyunwoo had collected extensive data. His initial report would be straightforward. Humans were primitive, their technology basic, their physical capabilities limited. And yet, something about their training suggested there was more to these beings than met the eye. Little did Hyunwoo know that his understanding of humanity was about to be completely transformed. Sergeant Jae-sung noticed the alien observer standing near the training ground's perimeter. Unlike other soldiers who might have been distracted or frightened, Jae-sung saw an opportunity. The alien, Hyun-woo, seemed confident and slightly arrogant, watching their training with clear amusement. "Interesting visitor," Jae-sung muttered to himself, studying the alien's body language. The creature's multiple eyes moved rapidly, scanning every movement of the training soldiers. Jae-sung decided to make their training more challenging, more unpredictable. The morning training began with a complex obstacle course. Soldiers would normally complete this in standard formations, but today, Jae-sung introduced unexpected changes. Random barriers appeared, sound disruptions created confusion, and team dynamics were constantly tested. Hyun-woo watched, his initial laughter slowly dying. These weren't just physical exercises. Each movement seemed calculated, each soldier's response more than just a mechanical reaction. They were thinking, adapting, surviving. A young soldier named Kim Min-ho caught a surprise water barrier that suddenly emerged. Instead of panicking, he quickly calculated a different route, pulling 2 teammates with him. His quick decision saved precious seconds and demonstrated unexpected problem-solving skills. Weapons training became even more interesting. The soldiers didn't just learn to shoot, they learned to think like the weapon, understanding trajectory, wind resistance, human error. These were not just technical skills, but complex psychological preparations. Hyun-woo's recording devices worked overtime. His initial assessment of humans as primitive beings started showing cracks. Their training wasn't about following orders blindly, but understanding the deeper strategy behind each movement. Jae-sung watched the alien observer, a slight smile playing on his lips. He knew exactly what was happening. The alien was being slowly, systematically challenged. Each training exercise was designed not just to test physical limits, but to expose the depth of human adaptability. Psychological warfare became evident in their training. Soldiers learned to manage stress, communicate under pressure, and make split-second decisions. They weren't just preparing for physical combat, but mental resilience. A simulation began where soldiers had to rescue team members from a complex, smoke-filled environment. Hyun-woo noticed something remarkable. No soldier was left behind. Their commitment to each other seemed to transcend individual survival instincts. Communication methods fascinated the alien. Hand signals, subtle body movements, quick verbal exchanges. These humans had developed an intricate language of survival that went beyond traditional communication methods. Drone technology demonstrations revealed another layer of human innovation. Small, seemingly simple machines were transformed into complex tactical tools. Soldiers didn't just operate these devices. They became extensions of their strategic thinking. By midday, Hyun-woo's initial report started changing. His notes shifted, from mockery to genuine curiosity. These humans were not just preparing for war, they were preparing for survival in its most complex form. Physical training mixed with mental challenges. Soldiers ran with heavy backpacks, solved mathematical problems while maintaining physical endurance, and practiced medical emergency responses simultaneously. It wasn't just about being strong, it was about being comprehensively prepared. Jae-sung approached a group performing a complex tactical scenario. "Remember," he shouted, "your brain is your most powerful weapon. Technology can fail, muscles can tire, but intelligent adaptation never surrenders." Hyun-woo's translation device captured every word. Something fundamental was changing in his understanding of human potential. They weren't just training soldiers. They were creating living, thinking, strategic assets. As the day progressed, the training became more intense. Night vision exercises, communication disruption scenarios, and rapid response simulations tested every possible human limitation. Yet each soldier seemed to grow stronger, more confident with every challenge. By sunset, Hyun-woo's initial report looked dramatically different. Where he had once written words of dismissal and mockery, now stood careful observations and growing respect. The alien observer realized something profound. Humans weren't just another species to be categorized and dismissed. They were a complex, adaptive, incredibly resilient life form that defied conventional understanding of military preparation. Jae-sung watched Hyun-woo from a distance, knowing that today's training had done more than just prepare soldiers. It had fundamentally challenged an alien's perception of human potential. The first seeds of respect had been planted, and they would soon grow into something much larger and more significant. Jae-sung approached Hyun-woo with a challenging smile. "You think our training looks easy?" he asked, his voice calm but carrying an underlying tone of invitation. The alien shifted uncomfortably, multiple eyes blinking in rapid succession. "I challenge you to experience our training firsthand," Jae-sung continued. The words hung in the air like a direct provocation. Hyun-woo's external body covering shifted slightly, a sign of surprise and internal conflict. The military base suddenly felt different. Other soldiers stopped their activities, watching the YM interaction with curious anticipation. They knew something unusual was about to happen. An alien was about to experience human military training. Hyun-woo's initial response was dismissive laughter. "Your human training cannot compare to my species' advanced preparation techniques," he said. But something in Jae-sung's eyes suggested otherwise. A challenge had been presented, and the alien's pride would not allow him to refuse. Midnight approached, and the training ground transformed. Darkness covered the landscape, making visibility challenging. Floodlights created strange shadows, and artificial smoke machines added extra complexity to the environment. The first challenge was simple but brutal. A 5-kilometer run with a 20-kilogram backpack. Hyun-woo's physiological structure was different from humans, giving him potential advantages. But advantages meant nothing without proper technique and mental preparation. Soldiers watched silently as Hyun-woo struggled. His multiple limbs, usually so efficient, seemed awkward under human training conditions. The backpack's weight challenged. His balance and the uneven terrain tested his adaptation skills. Jae-sung observed carefully. This wasn't just about physical challenge. It was about breaking down psychological barriers, forcing Hyun-woo to think beyond his species' conventional training methods. The obstacle course came next. Climbing walls, crawling under barbed wire, jumping through complex structures. Each element designed to test not just physical strength but mental resilience. Hyun-woo discovered that his alien physiology, while strong, wasn't automatically superior. Communication challenges followed. Soldiers used complex hand signals, verbal shortcuts, and psychological cues that completely confused the alien. He realized communication wasn't just about transmitting information, but understanding context, emotion, and unspoken meanings. Sleep deprivation became the next challenge. Hyun-woo was forced to make critical decisions after 36 hours of continuous activity. His alien brain, used to different rest cycles, struggled to maintain focus and logical thinking. A simulation of a complex rescue mission pushed him further. Team dynamics became crucial. Hyun-woo learned that human military training wasn't about individual performance but collective survival. Each soldier's action depended on understanding and supporting others. Weapons training revealed another layer of complexity. It wasn't just about technological capability but understanding the psychological impact of combat. Hyun-woo discovered that humans trained not just to use weapons but to understand their profound human cost. Medical emergency scenarios tested his adaptability. Soldiers were trained to provide immediate support, make quick decisions, and maintain emotional control under extreme stress. Hyun-woo realized this was far more than technical training. By the third day, something fundamental had changed. Hyun-woo's initial mockery transformed into genuine respect. His body showed signs of exhaustion, but his mental state had undergone a complete transformation. Jae-sung watched the alien's progress with a knowing smile. This wasn't just about proving human military superiority. It was about demonstrating the depth of human potential, the ability to adapt, survive, and overcome. As the final challenge approached, Hyun-woo stood among the soldiers, no longer an observer but a participant. His alien body was covered in dust, his breathing heavy, but his multiple eyes now showed something different: understanding. The training had done more than test physical limits. It had exposed the core of human military preparation, a combination of psychological resilience, collective thinking, and an unprecedented ability to transform limitations into strengths. When the final whistle blew, Hyun-woo didn't just complete the training. He had been fundamentally changed by the experience. The alien who had arrived with mockery now stood with newfound respect for human military capabilities. Jae-sung approached him, extending a hand of solidarity. "Welcome to human training," he said simply. Ji-eun watched Hyun-woo through the one-way glass, her professional eyes tracking every minute change in his physiological responses. As a military psychologist, she had seen countless soldiers break and rebuild, but an alien undergoing human training was something entirely new. Hyun-woo's body showed signs of extreme stress. His multiple limbs trembled slightly. A response that wasn't just physical exhaustion but deep psychological strain. The human training program had moved beyond simple physical challenges. It was now attacking the very core of his understanding of warfare and survival. The latest simulation was brutal. Hyun-woo found himself in a complex scenario that mixed physical challenge with intricate psychological manipulation. Soldiers around him moved with a coordinated precision that seemed almost supernatural. They weren't just following orders. They were thinking, adapting, surviving. A sudden loud explosion simulation caused most humans to react with controlled precision. Hyun-woo's initial response was pure panic. His alien nervous system wasn't prepared for such intense sensory overload. But something extraordinary happened. Within seconds, he began to adapt, mimicking the human soldier's calm and calculated responses. Sergeant Jae-sung watched from another corner, a subtle smile crossing his face. "Breaking point isn't about physical limitation," he muttered to Ji-eun. "It's about rebuilding understanding." The training ground became a complex maze of challenges. One moment, Hyun-woo would be solving a mathematical problem while maintaining physical balance. The next, he'd be navigating a smoke-filled environment, learning to trust team communication over his own sensory inputs. Ji-eun's notes became increasingly fascinating. Hyun-woo's brain patterns showed remarkable plasticity. Unlike his initial confident arrival, he was now learning, truly learning. Each challenge stripped away another layer of his alien superiority complex. Medical emergency training proved particularly challenging. Soldiers practiced complex medical procedures under extreme stress. Hyun-woo discovered that human training wasn't just about destruction, it was about preservation, about saving lives under the most impossible conditions. His alien communication systems began to adapt. Hand signals that once seemed meaningless now carried complex layers of information. The subtle head nods, the quick eye movements, everything became a language of survival. Psychological warfare took a new dimension. Hyun-woo learned that human military preparation wasn't about physical strength but mental resilience. They trained soldiers to think beyond obvious solutions, to find creativity in chaos. A particularly intense scenario involved a hostage rescue simulation. Hyun-woo watched as soldiers communicated without words, moved with incredible synchronization, and made split-second decisions that balanced risk and survival. His previous understanding of military operation completely shattered. Sleep deprivation became a critical tool. Soldiers, and now Hyun-woo, learned to function when every logical system suggested shutdown. They discovered inner reserves of strength that defied conventional understanding of human limitation. Ji-eun noticed something profound happening. Hyun-woo was no longer an observer or a reluctant participant. He was becoming part of the team. His movements became more fluid, his understanding more nuanced. The final breaking point came during a night mission simulation. Complete darkness, minimal communication, extreme physical challenge. Hyun-woo realized that human military training wasn't about individual heroism but collective survival. His alien body, once considered superior, now felt completely inadequate. These humans weren't just training, they were transforming themselves into living, thinking, adaptive weapons of survival. Sergeant Jae-sung approached Hyun-woo after the simulation. No words were needed. The look of understanding passed between them transcended language, species, or traditional communication. Ji-eun's final psychological assessment was remarkable. Hyun-woo had not just undergone training. He had experienced a complete philosophical transformation about the nature of warfare, survival, and collective human potential. As dawn broke, Hyunwoo stood among the soldiers, no longer an alien observer, but a participant who had been fundamentally changed by the experience. His multiple eyes now reflected something new: respect, understanding, and a profound appreciation for human military preparation. The breaking point wasn't about destruction. It was about reconstruction, of understanding, of perspective, of what it means to truly prepare for survival. The Galactic Command communication room buzzed with tension as Hyunwoo's report began transmitting. Holographic screens flickered, showing the aliens' detailed documentation of human military capabilities. Senior commanders leaned forward, expecting another routine reconnaissance report. What they received would change everything they understood about humanity. Humans are not a technological species, the report began. They are an evolutionary marvel of adaptability, resilience, and unpredictable strategic thinking. Hyunwoo's documentation was meticulous. Every training scenario, every psychological challenge, every moment of human military preparation was captured with scientific precision. But beneath the technical language lay something more profound: a genuine sense of respect. The report detailed how humans transformed limitations into strengths. Their training wasn't about creating perfect soldiers, but developing thinking, adaptive human beings capable of surviving impossible scenarios. Communication protocols showed how humans could coordinate without advanced technological implants. Their ability to communicate through subtle gestures, quick eye movements, and intuitive understanding surpassed any advanced communication system the Galactic Command had encountered. Psychological resilience became a key highlight. Humans could maintain complex decision-making processes under extreme stress, sleep deprivation, and sensory overload. They didn't just survive challenges, they learned and grew from them. Medical data revealed something extraordinary. Human bodies, seemingly fragile, possessed an incredible capacity for adaptation. Their immune systems, physical recovery rates, and mental flexibility defied conventional understanding of biological limitations. Weapon systems were analyzed not just for technological capability, but for the human ability to transform simple tools into complex strategic assets. A basic rifle wasn't just a weapon, it was an extension of human strategic thinking. The most shocking revelation came from human team dynamics. Unlike many advanced civilizations that prioritized individual performance, humans demonstrated an unprecedented commitment to collective survival. No soldier was left behind, no team member considered expendable. Hyunwoo's personal transformation became a critical part of the report. He described how human training had fundamentally changed his understanding of warfare, survival, and collective potential. Tactical simulations showed humans creating solutions where advanced technological systems would fail. They didn't rely on perfect technology, but on human creativity, quick thinking, and emotional intelligence. The Galactic Command's initial reaction was confusion. How could a species with relatively primitive technology demonstrate such complex, adaptive capabilities? Psychological profiles revealed that human military training wasn't about creating soldiers. It was about developing complete human beings, individuals capable of making critical decisions, supporting each other, and transforming challenges into opportunities. Technological assessments showed humans weren't limited by their current technological state. They possessed a remarkable ability to innovate, to create solutions from minimal resources, to think beyond conventional strategic frameworks. Communication intercepted during training showed something even more remarkable. Humans didn't just prepare for potential conflicts, they prepared to preserve life, to understand complex situations, to find peaceful solutions whenever possible. The report's conclusion was clear and direct. Humans were not to be underestimated. They represented a potential strategic asset that defied traditional military understanding. Senior commanders reviewed the documentation multiple times. Hyunwoo's report suggested that humanity wasn't just another species to be categorized. They were a potential game changer in galactic strategic thinking. As the report concluded, One senior commander muttered something that would become legendary within galactic command circles. They are not preparing for war. They are preparing for survival, and that makes them more dangerous than any advanced weapon system. Hyunwoo's final recommendation was simple but profound. Establish diplomatic relations with caution, respect, and a genuine understanding of human potential. The Galactic Command would never view humanity the same way again. What began as a simple reconnaissance mission had transformed into a complete re-evaluation of an entire species' potential. Somewhere on Earth, Sergeant Jae-sung would have smiled, knowing that human potential had once again proven itself beyond any technological or biological limitation. The revelation was complete. Humanity had been seen, truly seen, perhaps for the first time.